Okay, come on. Pop up. No, not that. Fucking jackass.
Yep, I can hear her.
We are live.
Hey! Oh. This is TPAW on Crazy Peas.
And Karnage 6778.
Yep, and we're here to talk about Jurassic World, Dominion, as well as National Treasure, Edge of History. I've seen a few episodes now, more of National Treasure, and we watched Dominion. I literally watched Dominion, I think it was 4 or 5 days ago.
It was Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, okay.
Because I watched it Wednesday while I was at home relaxing.
Alright, yeah. He probably knows because I texted him and was like, you need to watch this, blah, blah, blah. I was like all freaking out and shit. And I was like, OMG. I put like in caps. I was like, oh my god, you ever watch this, like, stat and everything like that. And because I was losing my shit. Like, I watched the first half of it beforehand, and then I watched the rest of it and everything. And I literally went out and I went on Amazon Prime because I watched it on Prime first, and then I got the extended version that has like 15 extra minutes of footage, and bought that version because I personally, like, if I'm gonna spend $20 and if I like the movie enough, I'll get the extended version. Especially it costs the exact same, I think. So I got the extended version. But yeah, what do you think of Jurassic World Dominion?
I actually liked it. I like how they brought some of the old characters back into it from the original 3. I'm like, here we go. Back to the old classic, back to the fun shit that I remember.
Yeah, no, I when they introduced Grant again, Alan Grant, there was like, I've been, so I was telling my dad about it the other day, and I was telling about how Dominion was, because he wasn't sure because he hasn't seen it yet, but I watched
Well, he's not a movie head like you.
Well, yes, he is, kind of. I mean, he's the reason why I even know movies in the first place.
But that's when he was a lot younger, too. You gotta remember that.
But the thing is, though, is, like, he knows that for him, Star Wars was his thing. And he sort of passed that down to us, so we took that on and we ran with it and everything, and it became part of our DNA. Jurassic Park is my Star Wars. Like, Jurassic Park is... When the first movie came out in '93, I was 2 years old, and that was one of the first movies I saw in the theater. That I was told I saw in the theater. I have little, like, bare bones flashbacks in my head of being in the theater at 2 years old. But I remember more of, like, later on when the second and third came out, and we went to go see that in the theater, because that was when I was a lot older. And if you were to gone to little Teapaw's bedroom when I was a kid, like, you would have seen dino pictures everywhere. You would, of course, would have seen your obligatory Star Wars poster, and would have seen, like, some poster from Jesus or something that my parents probably put in there. And then, like, some lion stuff and, like, nature stuff. But, like,
But here's the funny part.
Is, like, the thing.
Every kid, or every male kid, 90% of male kids, even nowadays it happens, because I saw it with my own son. It's the thing of, oh, I like dinosaurs. Well, of course we like dinosaurs. It's equivalent to liking dragons.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of things. A giant lizard-like thing that looks awesome, has sharp teeth, and can kill anything. Alright, I'm down. And even the ones that didn't have sharp teeth, the herbivores.
Yes.
One of my favorites is Triceratops.
Triceratops, one
and
of the first dinosaurs
I can't remember the other one. They show it in the in the forest.
Yes.
At the beginning.
Brachiosaurus.
Yeah, with the back and the ram tail.
Yes.
Ah, I love that one.
Yeah, you've got the Brachiosaurus, and then you've got the. My brain is trying to remember the name of the dinosaur you just mentioned with the ram. And it's got like a giant ball on the end of its tail.
It looks like a mace.
Around. Yes.
Yeah, inside of a turtle shell.
Yeah.
Essentially. I love that damn dinosaur. I can't remember its name, though.
And yes, I brought out my dragon because we're talking dinosaurs. But yeah, like I absolutely love this movie, and I'm 30s kid from the 90s who everyone would have expected to either hate the movie or be because it's a new trilogy, and one of the main characters is a female, blah blah blah. But yeah, but like at the end of the day, like I've been following Claire, I've been following Owen since like the first Jurassic World, and I absolutely loved a lot of the nods and stuff to the first trilogy. But this movie, the second one was good. The second one was entertaining enough. Fallen Kingdom, and it was treated like a monster movie because that's what it was initially. It was kind of like there was like horror type stuff in there, and then there was like monster movie type stuff in there. But it's a dinosaur movie. The third one it brings the entire like old gang back together with the new gang, and the way that they handle the story is so interesting because it's done from a scientific perspective. Like, they have this guy that is from the original first movie, Hodgson, who, if everyone remembers, was trying to get access to the park's DNA so he could sell the DNA and basically get back at Hammond. And then his employee...
Yeah, Tank. Alkylosaur.
Ankylosaurus?
Yeah.
Alright. And like...
You heard the name right, I was just double checking.
And
so there's a couple different ones.
Yeah. There's like 22 different dinosaurs in this latest edition.
This one's my favorite one that they always showed us as a kid.
Yeah.
Nope. I tried. He says no.
Yep. But like it was like I was watching the first hour of this movie, and I had moments where I was tuned in and I was watching it and I was interested.
Tell the
and
story.
Like, it introduced Claire to the story as she was trying to save some dinosaurs who were being put in cages, and it really brought in like the an ecological like perspective, like that whole perspective of like these dinosaurs are running around on Earth, but they're being treated like they're animals. Like they're not being treated like these monster creatures. They're being treated like animals.
Well, I mean, they're not monsters. They're just the pre-evolution of 90% of what's on Earth nowadays is how they look at it, and it's like, yeah, well, if we bring those back, are we going to be around?
Yeah.
Or is there going to be a natural disaster? It takes us out. They're still around and like, oh my God, dinosaurs, and then that 2-3 generations down the line. This is my thought when it came up, that what they were showing at the beginning. It was like, yeah, 3 to 5 generations down, nobody remember where they came from, and if they die off, it'll be this story of these giant creatures, and then we'll find the bones and we'll attempt to put them together like they would really look like, which is kind of what we do with all the movies like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, all that sort of stuff, for dragons in general. Because I like let's see, what was it? It popped back up on my feed for shorts and just, informational stuff about how if dragons were real and they're like birds,
yeah,
because they have the hollow bones so they can fly around. Excuse me. That's why they don't fossilize.
Yeah.
But in what would be considered medieval, like knights and stuff, back then, in almost everywhere around the world, they had the stories of the dragons. Each one's slightly different, but it's like the same breed creature, just different depending on where you live. That's kind of like Sasquatch or Giantopithecus.
Yep.
They're everywhere, but they're different depending on the environment they live in.
Exactly. And
so I always find stuff like that when that pops up. Well, the only reason we know dinosaurs is because they had thick bones, because they were eating meat or eating plants, because they were on ground.
Yeah.
The ones that flew, we really don't know a lot about. Like the main big one that is most kids' favorite flying one.
The Pteranodon?
I don't think that name's right. I'd have to look it up, but I mean it's the scared one on the little dinosaur movie.
Yes.
That one.
I remember what you're talking about. See,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to recall all the dinosaur names.
He's like,
Now-
I'm done.
And now Bearded Dragon is just like,
I'm out, bitch. Put me back in my cage or I'm taking over.
alright, Jupiter, I'll pay you back.
Now y'all can stare at his ass for 5 seconds. For those female viewers, like his wife. But anywho,
Yeah,
I mean,
like,
because those are the ones that are rare and hard to find, were the flying ones.
yeah.
And there's only a select few that they've ever actually found because they're so rare to find because how thin and hollow their bones were. And
Yeah.
some of the birds that they find that were fossilized and whatnot, the only reason they were is because it was like when they were on the ground, a flood or something came in and compacted them, so there was no way for them to naturally disintegrate like natural animals do in the forest and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
there's no bones, there's no nothing. Well, of course not. Nature takes care of itself. Everything goes back to nature. That's like, why can't we find Sasquatch? What if somebody killed her? What if they naturally died? Who says they're not like us? They bury their dead, but they don't bury them in boxes. They just bury them under dirt. So nature takes its course. So we'll never find the bodies because they're humanoid-like animals. Because they're bipedal and part of the sapien,
Yeah.
family tree, like apes and whatnot. They're all primates.
Yes.
So it's that funny part that, oh, why can't we find any? Because they buried their own. And if it's a dragon, by the way, some of the myths talk about it. If a dragon got killed, other dragons would burn its body and eat it. Because now it's part of the food chain.
Yep.
We're not going to waste meat, sort of thing. So why don't we find any? Because most of them got eaten.
Yeah.
And with as hot as they always talk about dragons, the ones who spit fire were, that literally would just disintegrate the bones. The
Yeah.
only thing that'd be left would be burnt meat. And that's what dragons eat, so, I mean.
Makes sense, yeah.
And if you have a chemical in your body, when you put it together, it shoots fire out of your mouth. Because you're spitting poison, but the two poisons combined make flames. And there's some scientific backing on that, too. I can't remember exactly what it was called for that stuff. But, I mean, it's the thing of, if you have those chemicals in your body when you're dead and nothing's protecting it, when they leak into each other, wouldn't they just light the whole body on fire? Because it's fuel for those chemicals to burn. So
Yeah.
you literally, your body would naturally disintegrate or turn your whole body into ash. And what's ash do? It gets absorbed by the ground when it rains, and it grows plants. So if you want to find dragon DNA, technically you just look in plants, and you'd have to look really close into the genetic of the plants that are still, descendants of the plants that lived back then, because they would still have a partial, part of it. But you also come to the thing where it goes into other stuff too about, we got hit by a whole bunch of meteors. How can we tell? Because all around the world there's this black line of, ash everywhere. There's like two lines. One's in mostly European and Asian countries, some in America, but there's another line that's everywhere around the world.
Yeah.
So, to my mind, says, well, even if those creatures did exist, when something like that happened and the whole world was on fire or flooding, those bodies would be disintegrated because of how, lightweight and hollow they are, because they got to be to fly, because they've proven that with the current birds we have that are tiny in nowadays.
Yeah.
Just scientific facts I've picked up here and there and pop up repeatedly in my feeds because I'm a science dweeb,
Yeah.
nerd, whatever you want to call it.
Hey, at least you're admitted to it.
Hey, I love it. If I could make money off of the knowledge I know on this stuff, please, I'd go make money. I need a grant for $5 million. Why? I'm digging up everywhere.
Yes.
I'm digging 5 miles underground everywhere. Why? To find everything y'all haven't found, and to go where like Frozen is in Canada and
Yeah.
down south real low, and find all the stuff that's frozen that nobody's ever found because of the natural disaster that might have happened 100 or was it 1500 years ago or whatever. Would they think the flood happened? Well, it was right after the flood because you have the meteors that supposedly came in. That's where the layer of ash comes in because it hit all the glaciers, and that's where the Noah flood comes in because it hit all the glaciers in the world and it flooded the whole world.
Yeah.
But that also comes into the whole, like, the outside crust of the Earth shifts, and that's why the North Pole is where it is and Antarctica is where it is, because if you look with the studies they've done, with digging up and some of the research they've done, discounting the giant animals that have accidentally become unfrozen and have taken over Antarctica, giant spider creatures from some government and used to work for the government people, reports and whatnot. It's the thing of the way the river valleys show with the LiDAR and other stuff and how much green foliage should be there. Technically that was tropical. That was the equator, with the way it shows that it would have grown through the LiDAR and through the few spots where us and other countries have dug and looked at.
Yeah.
So I like the whole Jurassic thing of, well, if we get the DNA and we do this.
Yeah, I found it really interesting, the commentary, the social commentary that was in the middle of this movie.
Which part?
The ecological part with like the
They'll bring in
locusts and the crops and like and like the
I thought that
painting animals and
that was
breeding them
interesting.
and biotin taking being given support by the government to
bring back certain breeds and whatnot.
things like that.
Well, I thought that was funny because they were talking about how the genetics will fix themselves after a generation or two.
Yeah.
And how the disease that the girl had who made a clone of herself but put in the way to fix the genetics with the daughter that she carried in her own stomach. Oh, by the way, this is all like spoilers, so if you haven't watched the movie, you should have already left from just us saying we were going to talk about it. But anywho, back to that.
I mean, literally, the movie came out last year in like June, so
in the theater, but it just here recently came available on Prime, and a lot of people have Prime, and a lot of people won't go to the theaters when it came out.
Yeah,
I'll admit that. That's why I'm like, oh wait, before I get any further,
review is rated S for fucking spoilers.
But I mean, I like that the guy who wants to fix everything, the professional nerd with the genetics, is like, okay, I'm gonna show the daughter the actual truth of her. You're not a clone made by your grandfather. Your mom actually made you, and she held you in her belly, and
I actually liked his.
I liked that part.
His arc in this movie was really good because, like, the first
him trying
movie,
to fix shit.
In the first movie, he's like an assistant, and he's like in the background, and like nobody really notices him. In the second movie, he's like an antagonist, and in this movie, it's like a redemption arc for him.
Well,
and it's
because
so
he
awesome.
was in the
Henry Wu.
In the original, I think somewhere.
He was.
In
He
the
was
original three.
In the original
But, I mean,
first movie, he was the one who introduced the whole.
You like
the initial raptors and stuff.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's the guy who's been with the Jurassic stuff, World and Park, since the beginning. So I'm like, oh, okay, he's in this movie. I'm like, all right, it's going to be a good movie because he's in it.
Yes.
His character fits in the way where he's memorable. And then when they brought back the original two that they brought to the original Jurassic Park,
Yes.
and the other guy was working at Jurassic World, and I'm like, oh, this is just gonna be fun as shit.
Yeah, Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and then Ian Malcolm. They all three of the originals come back and
Great actors.
Yes.
And an actress, but I mean actors as in that's their profession
the
because they're all
reunion
actors.
scene between Ellie and Alan was just awesome.
Oh, it was great.
It was like I was chef's kiss. I was like, holy crap! Like I down to like the camera angle where like the camera's like mid shot and like it's showing Alan in the center frame, and he's like got his head kind of lowered a little bit. He's got that trademark smirk on his face and everything, and I was just like going, my childhood is playing right now.
But your childhood, that'd be like me and right before your teenage years. So,
right. I was telling Amber about that. I was telling my dad about it too. I was like, well, technically, Carnage was like a teenager when Jurassic World Park
10,
came out.
11, yeah.
Like you're about ready to hit teenhood. But for me, it was like I was a kid. Like
Yeah.
I was.
I
like
mean,
two.
I was right on the skirt, 10 years old on preteen bullshit. So, I mean, plus I'd always been into dinosaurs and dragons. It's like, but those are two different things. Are you fucking sure? I mean, that was always my speech, and the way I talk about it, some of the stuff that I've seen pop up, where certain people, I know they're called lunatics, but I mean, it's the thing that, okay, we don't have proof, but have you taken in this scientific fact, or are we sure they're fake? Because look at where they were being reported everywhere in the fucking world.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't really say bullshit to everybody who lived in basically
Plus,
the Middle Ages.
There's actually been reports in the last couple of years that I didn't have to find the reports, but there's been reports in the last couple of years that scientists have actually found mosquitoes with dino DNA recently.
Well, but see, here's the thing. If they have dino DNA, eventually they're going to find it, try to put it together, and try to do the Jurassic Park thing, and be like, oh shit, this isn't a... Fuck. It's not a dinosaur. Shit, we got a dragon flying around the goddamn shit, we're screwed!
It's like,
Because, I mean, they
fuck it, why don't we do
burn...
it?
They burn everything to eat it. That's supposed to be one of the myths.
Yeah.
They burn the whole village, or your local farm with the animals, cows, sheep, whatever,
Yep.
or the forest, because it's an easy place to burn. And if they're shooting out chemicals, because that's a scientific thing, the chemicals that would instantly ignite. My thought is, oh, so they just burn down a whole forest, wait till it's done burning, go back and eat everything that was dead, plants and animals.
Yep.
Once they've become burnt enough for them to just eat the ash. Because a lot of myths say that they ate the ash, not really the meat. The meat was what they went for, but if they couldn't get the meat, they just, burn it all and eat the leftovers.
I love how you're like equating dinosaurs to dragons.
It's the same fucking creature. Because, I mean, think about it. You have T-Rex and, what was it, Giantopithecus? That's what they were talking about on the Jurassic World, the one that's basically almost the exact same as T-Rex.
Yeah, it's Gigantosaurus.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Brain. But, yeah, Gigantosaurus. But, I mean, it's the thing of, well, if those are valid, and you have the, I think you were right, by Tyrannosaurus that flies. Yeah, because it starts with a P, but you don't say the first few letters, and it's Tyrannosaurus or something.
No,
I don't know.
It's Tyrannosaurus or Tyrannosaurus Rex. Pterodactyl.
I don't know. Yeah, that's it, pterodactyl. Yeah, but I mean, it starts with the P.
Yes, that's the pterodactyl.
Yeah, that's what I always thought was funny is it start with the P, but you go in 2 to 3 levels and it's a T. So we're gonna start the word there. That's like for people who can't read, what's the word we're gonna use? A big long ass word that they'll never be able to spell.
Yes.
For people who have trouble reading, like me, it's the dyslexia. How the fuck do you spell it? I don't know, jackass. That's just what I have. But I mean, it's stuff like that. The stuff that's hard or doesn't seem is that's how they spell it to piss you off because it's completely asinine and that's not what the word actually says.
I liked how in this movie, by the way, the middle act of the story, which the middle was kind of weird, but at the same time, it was
Okay,
like
where do
a
you
sequel.
consider the middle?
The part where they go and find the black market, and they find the raptors that are being trained to kill each other.
Oh, the chick who you find out actually works for the main jackass who's in charge of we're going to put all the dinosaurs here to keep an eye on them.
Yeah, Hodgson.
And program them
Hodgson
like they're
is-
robots and make them do what we want.
Yeah, Hodgson has like his fingers in every person's pocket, yes.
Yeah. Well, I like at the end that they show the guy in charge is picking up the shaving cream bottle that had all the DNA the guy stole but never got off the island. He has it, puts it in a box. Okay, time to leave.
Yes.
To the guy he thinks is his friend, but actually the guy who used the other guy from the original
Yes.
who came back for the second one. That's what I thought was funny. He was the character that came back for the second one with his daughter. Shit, dinosaurs! We gotta protect you.
Yep.
But he was the guy who I dealt with. No, go grab the professionals. We're gonna prove that these dumbasses, my boss, actually said to do this with the locust, and this complete idiot. Because he's like, let's see, and it all went to shit out the damn wazoo.
Yeah, Ramsey and Ian Malcolm had historical roles in the series.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were fucking brilliant. Like, the part, his whole monologue in that one scene where they're in the security, like, they're looking at the security footage, the monitoring
with
room.
the daughter.
Yeah, with the daughter and everything. And they're looking at all the security footage and everything. And Ian just
I always
starts,
think that's funny. It's
Ian
the
just-
daughter/clone.
Yeah.
The daughter clone.
he just starts ripping into, like, all the people there. But he's more ripping into Hodgson than anybody. And Hodgson is just like... You know what's funny is the actor they picked for Hodgson...
Fits so perfectly.
Yeah, you know the author Rick Riordan?
Not off the top of my head, no.
He wrote the Percy Jackson series. So,
Okay,
the
that
reason why I
makes
bring
sense.
him up is because the actor who plays Hodgson in this movie is not the same actor from the first movie. He's recasted.
Yeah.
So, in this movie...
I thought that was obvious.
I was
but okay.
watching the movie, and I got to, like... There was, like, a couple scenes where I watched in, and at first I was like, where do I recognize this guy from? And then, like, I looked at Amber, I was like, why does it feel like Hodgson is like evil Rick Riordan? And she's like, wait, what? I'm like, it looks like the guy who wrote the Percy Jackson books.
Cool.
It was funny. I was like, it looks like evil Rick Riordan. He even has like some of the awkward mannerisms and stuff like that. And I was just like going, interesting. Like it's like
But
the
maybe
Harry
that's
Rick Riordan.
that's the evil mannerisms of somebody who knows that sort of information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but like it's so interesting. The guy who
Or
played,
maybe they picked the actor they picked for that role picked that guy as, ooh, I like the way his face does certain, facial mannerisms, so I'm
Campbell
gonna
Scott.
copy him.
Campbell Scott. What's funny is he looks
Show me
more
the
like
face.
he looks more like Rick Riordan in the movie than he does in.
Yeah, I know him. He's a good actor.
He played in Amazing Spider-Man 2, apparently. In Amazing
Yeah.
Spider-Man, he played Richard Parker.
Yes.
He played Peter's dad in the Amazing Spider-Man. Not the
he's-
not the Tobey Maguire one. He played in the Andrew Garfield one.
Yeah, he's played in a lot of stuff, actually. He's got a good acting career.
Yeah.
And I've also seen him do other stuff. I think he's directed a film or a show somewhere in there in his career. But, I mean, he's a good actor. I know him and some of his stuff, but you gotta remember, I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, where most of my memories come in. Because my memories start coming in for actually remembering everyday life
Played in House of Cards.
in, like, 88, dude.
Billions, House of Cards, Allegiance, Royal Pains, Family Ties. Yeah, I'm totally reading off this guy's resume.
He's done a lot of good shit. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's the Biosyn CEO in this movie, and
I liked his sort of over-exaggerated, slightly goofy, lost his mind, I don't know anything I'm talking about, but hey, y'all are here, that's cool, go have fun.
yep.
But yet as soon as they walk away and, in other scenes when they're not there, he's straightforward, he knows what he's talking about, he doesn't have to act like the stupid big goof who, yes, I figured out how to do this with all these other people's help. No, this is my plan, bitch. I'm paying your paycheck. Do what the fuck you're told. That's the true character in the background that you don't see the first time you see him.
He
I like the way he portrayed that.
He
It
was
fit
so
perfectly.
interesting with the way he was, because like in one scene he would seem super friendly and super like gracious, and then in another scene he would be like
One or two scenes later, yeah.
he'd be like menacing as fuck and like kind of like
I know
social
I'm the
awkward
bad guy,
comments.
but shut up and do what I tell you. I'm the one paying the fucking goddamn bills,
He'd be like,
bitch.
I'm paying you to do the job.
So do your damn job.
Right.
Yeah, I'm God here. I have the freaking paycheck. I have the checkbook in my hand to write you a check. Shut up and do what you get told, or you're not getting your check, jackass.
Yep.
And I'll pay somebody else to do it, and I'll just fire you. Because he made a comment about, oh, I'll just fire him. We'll just go hire this person who does the same damn thing and pay them half what we paid that guy, but tell him it's the same price. So That way he doesn't think anything of it.
Yeah,
he makes a comment to that.
He did in the movie, yeah.
Yeah, that part stuck with me. It's like, oh, you're that corporate jackass. Okay, now I know what your full role is.
Yes.
I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. He. If you only knew, you dumbasses. In the back of his head.
Yep. Yeah, what's funny is there was a part of the movie where, like, near the end, where you really start to see him lose his temper. And
show his true colors.
Yeah, and like.
Oh yeah, when you lose your temper, that's your true colors.
Because like you realize he's being passive aggressive throughout the entire movie, and then finally at the very end he just starts fucking like banging computer desks.
Being full aggressive.
And,
it's like
slamming
this
things.
is what the fuck I said we're gonna do, so this is what the fuck you're gonna goddamn do.
Yep. Yeah, it was funny as I was like going, I was watching it, I was like, oh, there it is. There's the Hodgson.
There's the reality. Yeah.
There's the Hodgson that disagreed with Hammond on like everything. Because like Hammond for the first movie, who actually built the Jurassic Park, and John Hammond, and then Hodgson wanted to steal from him to try to recreate the monsters himself.
Well, I mean, they always like to, like in the first Jurassic World. No. We just took the craziest shit from the most badass predators and shoved it all into this one holy shit dinosaur that's not really real, but we decided to genetically make it.
Yep.
The most evil badass thing that we're still trying to understand and trying to control, even though we made it up out of nowhere for nightmares and screams and stuff.
Yep. I don't know if you noticed this, but it was something I found out from the trivia, and I was piecing it together throughout the story, because on Amazon Prime, when you're watching the movie and you're like pause the movie at certain frames, it'll tell you trivia or tell you whatever's in that scene,
or it'll pull up info facts about the character,
the background and stuff. So I went in there and I was looking at some of it, and one of the things that jumped out to me was that all the main dinos in this movie, like the main 6, are all compounds. Like they are the ingredients for the Indominus Rex from Jurassic World 1.
Yeah.
Like all of them, like the T-Rex, the Velociraptor, Gigantosaurus, like all of the different major ones that are, they took all those different parts from those dinosaurs and created the Indominus Rex from those main ones. And so it was like, this movie was not only a sequel, like a second sequel to Jurassic World, but it also, according to the director, who also, by the way, was supposed to direct Episode 9 of Star Wars, but then he had creative differences and walked away. But
yeah, I remember what you're talking about. A lot of people made a giant bitch about that. But he's such a great director. Why didn't you just let him do it like you wanted, motherfucker? We would have got a decent Star Wars movie out of this bitch. It wouldn't have been this jackass backward shit. Oh, I remember everybody bitching about that for like 6 months.
Colin Trevorrow is the director of this movie, and he also wrote the screenplay with Emily Carmichael. And
that surprised me.
And this story was treated as Jurassic Park 4. Like
Jurassic, yeah. No,
like
I mean it fits in, but it for me it's Jurassic Park 4, Jurassic World 3, because it combines them into one film in a way that I thought fit perfectly.
Oh yeah.
And the way the whole movie just rolled, because you're going from the original set to the new set, to the original set, to the new set, and the way it bounced back and forth, and then it just like, oh, no, we're all together. Hey, we know you. You were this guy who tried to do this. Yes, that was me. And then they kept moving.
Yep. No, I
loved that.
I absolutely loved how, and the reason why this movie is as long as it is, and that's without the 15 minutes that I paid extra for, which is the same price, but I paid, for the director's cut. The extended edition. The movie is like 2 hours and 30 minutes long, and they spend like half the movie bouncing back and forth between the new cast and the old cast, and because at certain points they get separated. Because in Jurassic Park, classic fashion, half your cast is separated, either being chased by a T-Rex or a Velociraptor,
or something else.
Or they're being chased by something, and so not only did they harken back to the second movie where the kid got stuck in the cage with the flying dinosaurs, the
Yeah.
pterodactyls and shit, and then not only did they harken back to the third one with the Spinosaurus, only this time it's a Gigantosaurus. There was so many different references to all the different movies in this movie, like
Well,
visual
the part
references.
I liked with the
keys.
Gigantosaurus
Yeah.
and the T-Rex was, oh, we're gonna see them fight. Okay, the T-Rex got his ass knocked down, and then here comes nails.
Yep.
I have daggers for fingers, you fucking asshole. I'm gonna kill you. T-Rex grabs him. He's like, okay, die.
Oh my god.
And then they both looked at each other, went, okay, we can live in peace. We took out Jackass, walked away. I love that.
You were mentioning one of my favorite parts.
Is that at the very end? Oh, that was perfect.
I was watching it, and like for a second, I thought they were gonna kill off Rexy. Like I was like Rexy's laying there on the freaking broken platform thing, and you know.
No.
That's,
As soon as I saw that, I'm like, yeah, just give it a couple minutes. He'll be back up with like, bitch, what the fuck? You think I'm dead? You stupid.
And I'm like watching this, and I'm like, because like we got to the part where because Gigantosaurus is so much more agile and has a bit more flexibility. Plus Rexy has much shorter arms. So I was like watching this, and I'm like, oh my god, like. Is this the movie where they kill off the Rex? And I'm like going, like, because every time the Rex has showed up at some point,
and attempted to kill it,
and she's older, like a lot older now, and I'm like watching this, and I'm like, oh my god, like, are they gonna kill her off? Like, and then her eye, like she looks like she's dead for a second, and like, because her eyes aren't like lit up or anything, and like Ari was there watching it with me, and he's like, they're being mean to the Rexy, and I was like going. Yeah, they are. And they're like, oh, please don't kill her off. Please don't kill her off. And then Ari's like, yeah, don't be mean to Rexy. Don't be mean to Rexy. And then like,
oh, I already had. But I mean, I
up,
saw it. But I'm like, okay,
up.
well, we haven't seen it except for when it killed the freaking, rabbit.
Yeah.
I mean, not rabbit, deer.
The deer, yeah.
That the T-Rex went after, and then Gigantus came and said, no, mine. And T-Rex went, oh, fine, you young piece of shit. I'm not fighting you over it. There's more in this forest. I'll just go find me something else to eat. Fuck off.
Yep.
It's not worth the battle.
Exactly.
But, I mean, as soon as T-Rex got knocked down, my brain instantly went to, you can't kill T-Rex that easily, you fucking idiot. But, I mean, that's where my brain goes, because I've even told you, like, before Darth Vader said, I'm your father.
Yes.
I'm like, well, duh. What do you mean, duh? Well, did nobody else see that coming? I saw that coming from a mile away. Am I a prophet or something? Like, what?
Not only that, but like in that battle of Luke Skywalker, I rewatched that battle actually, by the way, the Empire battle, the very end, like the very end of the fifth movie. I rewatched it because I wanted to, because I was having this giant debate with Jonas, Sweden buddy, and we were going back and forth and everything. And
about what?
We were going back and forth over whether or not Luke Skywalker should have joined Vader or not, and also on whether or not Vader himself could have said like something at the end, like said like, Luke or Skywalker or something like that, something as he's falling into the abyss. And hang on.
Oh, to try to bring him into the.
Okay. He's calling me, now he's not calling me.
This is lush. But no, I understand what you're talking about.
Trying to get into accounts on my Kindle.
Well, I thought I just heard Dad come up and make a fuss because I think Castiel's running around and Felix is like, leave me the hell alone, go to sleep, goddamn you. Right. I heard him.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell what they were saying, but it sounded like Russell came up. Stop making noise, I'm trying to sleep. He made his usual grumble.
Yeah.
Quit being loud, you're children, you're supposed to be asleep.
So I rewatched that battle, and I rewatched like the whole fight between Luke and Vader.
Darth.
Yeah, and I realized, and I've known this forever, on the fact that he was just testing him in that fight. But it became even more apparent to me, especially after Vader drops his hand as Luke falls, because he like goes, "No, I won't join you," and he falls. He goes, "Ah!" And then like Vader like instead of him like having like a fist like or like or saying something or anything, he just does this. He's holding his lightsaber in his hand like this, and he goes. He just drops his hand, and you can almost see the deadpan on Vader's face. And then in the last movie,
damn it, I lost my son.
and then in the last movie, when Luke and Vader, brief tangent, talking about Star Wars, when Vader and Luke are sitting there and they're having their standoff and everything, and Luke does the backflip, and he, in fact, before he does the backflip, the first time he has the high ground, he's standing at the very top, Vader's standing at the bottom, and Vader's like, Obi-Wan has taught you well, and it's like, he's got the high ground. And then, like, as soon as, like, they get done clashing a little bit, Luke does this backflip and jumps even further up onto the little platform thing before Vader cuts it down. And he goes, and you can almost hear it in, like, his breathing, where he's just like, damn it, again with this stupid high ground bullshit.
Now, I mean, is that because you're rewatching?
Yeah, I rewatched
because the way they remade them when they put them all out on Blu-ray, the first 6.
This was the original cut.
Oh, you're talking about the original
Yes.
cut? I haven't seen that forever, but I know what you're talking about. But I'm saying,
found it on YouTube. All I did
well, I
was
mean, of
look
course,
up
everything's
Luke
on
versus
YouTube.
Vader, and then suddenly I had like different versions of the fight. And I was
Yeah,
like,
you have the original from the 80s.
Yep.
Then you have the one that they redid in the 90s, early 2000s when they came back out with it.
Yep.
When the first 3 were coming out to try to get everybody's attention on it. And then they redid it when they did the 6-disc Blu-ray set in
90s.
No, it was 2000.
That's right.
It was after I moved out here.
Like 2003.
No, it was like
2005?
2010. Because they came out,
I
they
swear
they
the special
they
editions came out
redid
in
them
2006.
because they made it so that way. It wasn't just Han saying he shot first. They actually made him shoot first before Han killed him.
Huh.
Yeah, something that I saw somebody made a bitch about, and I went back and watched, mine because I just bought the Blu-ray, and I remember the original
Yeah.
where he didn't shoot first, but that's what Han said, and then they put it in, and I'm like, all right, let's go look. Well, motherfucker, they did put that in. Are they just being cheeky so that way Han doesn't look like the lion, good for nothing, like he pretends to be, even though he wants to be the good guy?
Yeah.
You squirrely assholes. You changed it again. Disney bought it and changed it to look like that. Because that was right after Disney bought it and made a whole bunch of stuff mythos or
A lot of mythological changes.
well, no,
Their own
it's canon and
you have the EU canon, which was before Lucas, because like Lucas himself.
well, no, I mean when he sold it to Disney, a lot of this stuff became Legends.
Yes, Legends.
Star Wars Legends.
They renamed it, yeah.
Yeah, because it wasn't 100%, or it's not until they put something about it in the cartoon or the TV, TV or one of the movies that, aha, it is canon sort of thing.
Yes.
But, I mean, it's the thing, so he said it, you want Hans to actually look like a better good guy for the new generation, so that way he doesn't look like the dirty scoundrel he is. Okay, so you're just trying to re-sculpt Hans.
Yes.
Bunch of assholes. But I mean, it makes sense. But at the same time, if you're gonna do that, you should put out like a, honestly, like a what would it be, like a? Because the first 3 movies have always been the same, but they always edit the second 3, which was the original 3, and then it became the second half, the regular trequel before the sequels. And then they
trilogy.
redid it again.
You got a prequel trilogy, which is 1 through 3, and then you got the original trilogy, which is 4 through 6. Which is funny because it's called original trilogy, but like it comes out after the prequel trilogy.
Well, 4 through 6 I always liked,
Yeah.
and I watched them, like I said, when they came out on TV in the 80s,
Yes.
when I was a kid.
Yep.
Late 80s, early 90s.
I need to show Ari the entire series.
And then I saw it after I watched in Job Corps the original, or the prequel 3 movies come out, because I was in Job Corps for, I think, 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
I got out of Job Corps, then the 3rd one came out, so I had to go see it at the Dollar Movie like 6 months to a year after the fact.
Yeah.
It was a local Dollar theater, but and then they changed some stuff with the original 3. They changed a few scenes, like they added in Hans talking with Brang Hut,
Yeah.
Jabba, and then they changed it when they did the Blu-ray.
Did they have him step on his tail or something?
Yeah, that's when they came back out with it in the early 2000s, and then in like 10 or 11, I swear it was 10 or 11. It might have been 9 or 8, because I was still new to Utah. So, but I mean, it was within the first few years I was out here. So anywhere between 8 to I think 2012 when they came out with the Blu-ray set.
Yeah.
They added this. They added it so where the guy Hans shot in the bar actually shot at him first.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? But I mean, they do that sort of stuff. It's like, and with some of it, it's like, you're actually fucking it up now because you're like adding stuff or putting stuff in that completely like screws the whole dynamic or the whole like the way it goes. It's like, no. Why the fuck did this happen?
Yeah, was there like a shot, like he's sitting there at the table, he's got his hand up like this, and he's got his gun sitting in his hand like this, and you hear like a shot, and then all of a sudden you hear another shot, and then suddenly the guy drops dead on the other side. And
That's the new one. Originally, it was he pulled his gun out, was about to shoot, but Hans had already had his gun sitting there and went click. He shot at me first when everybody looked at him. It's an old thing. If you didn't watch the originals, you don't remember them or like own the VHS. Because I think we owned I owned the VHS. I think Nanny bought it for me. He never shot a shot. Only in the new one did he shoot before Han Solo shot him.
Alright, so this is the original.
From the 80s?
Yes.
Yeah, because he has the gun, but he never shoots it off and misses him.
There's
in
no
the
audio
head.
because I know a lot of copyright strike.
Yeah, right? But I mean, that's the thing though. He never shot at him in the original, but Han shot him.
Yeah, he's there talking to Greedo.
Yeah.
They're talking and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And then he grabs a gun. Greedo's still talking. Looking forward to this for a long time. And then then a puff of smoke
Hans
happens.
shot.
Yeah.
No other anything, no nothing.
Then he gives him a coin to say clean up the mess. Like, here's that thing to clean up the mess.
Yeah, and then they changed it.
Yep. Okay.
The first change was him walking on Hut's tail. And the second thing was the Guido. That's what you said his name was, right? I never remember his fucking
Greedo.
name. I never remember his name. All I know is he was the weird fucking blue jackass.
Rhodian alien named Greedo.
Whatever. But then they added in that he shot, then Han shot.
Yeah.
So it's like, quit editing. I like the original. You fucking bunch of assholes. I used to have a VHS player. I mean, if I still had it, shit. I'd just pull out VHSs. What are you doing? We're watching the original. Fuck this damn digital bullshit. Watch the original.
Watch an analog.
Well, but I mean, you can get the converter so that way it goes through an HDMI cord.
Yeah.
But I mean, back then that was what it was. But I mean, I like the originals because I never saw the originals in theaters because before I was born. But I remember seeing it when it first came out on TV, and then owning the VHSs before they
Yeah.
came out with DVDs. I remember that. I mean, it's been forever and a day, but at
Yes.
one point I remember owning them. They've been lost to the abyss. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember watching. See, that's the thing is
I remember stupid little facts like
is
that. It's,
I
when they add crap and change the story, it pisses me off.
never watched Star Wars on DVD and Blu-ray first. You know that?
Okay.
I originally watched Star Wars on VHS.
I
that-
watched it on the
that
TV
scene-
before VHS. So
that
I mean,
scene that I just watched, that's how I knew it was the OG one, because I was like watching it, I'm like, well, this looks familiar. I've seen this a million times.
yeah. But I mean, for me, it's like you changed it. We remastered it. You mean you put it through a filter to make it HD? But while doing that, ooh, we're gonna add this in. I mean,
Yeah.
because Lucas was the one who added into him talking to Jabba,
Yes.
and then him telling Jabba, "Well, he shot at me first. That's why I shot him."
Yeah.
Because they don't show that part in the original.
Yeah.
Him walking on Jabba's tail because it wasn't there. But when
Right.
technology was able to edit him in, crawling and doing the worm thing across the floor,
Yep.
they did it. And I thought that was great. Yeah. That made sense to me.
Yes.
The other part, fuck off. Why are you adding more shit to my movie that wasn't broken in the first place?
Yep.
We must make canon. We must make him look like he's not lying. We must. Why are you changing the character? I like the original character the way it was. Fuck off.
Yep.
Leave him alone. He's the bad guy who does nice things while still trying to be a scoundrel and a Rain. What's the name for it?
Smuggler?
Yes. Smuggler. It's
Yeah.
like he does a dirty job. But he tries not to hurt anybody innocent while doing it. So he's a bad guy trying to be partially good. Because he's not 100% evil. And that's what
See,
I always
never
liked
saw
about
him
his
as
character.
evil. I saw him as being a complex anti-hero that was pushed towards heroics because of Leia and Luke.
I say more because of Leia, because he had a thing for
He
her.
wanted to get laid, yeah.
Well, it wasn't even Leia. He was falling in love with her.
Both.
He just didn't want to admit it at first.
Yeah, hell no. You have to get pride.
Thank you for the money. I have to go pay my debt so Jabba doesn't come after my ass. He never does because he falls in love, get married, they have a kid.
Yep.
And then him being who he is, the smuggler, tries to go make money even though she's a princess and doesn't need money.
Yep.
But he's still that's who his character is. He's always had to fight for his freedom. So he's had trouble with it. That's why movie 7 makes sense that his son went to the dark side because they sent him off with the uncle because clearly they're all force sensitive. But what Hans doesn't even realize, and here's the funny part, if you actually look at the original 3 movies,
Yeah.
whether you realize it or not, Hans is slightly force sensitive.
Well, yeah,
But he's not
always had that.
strong enough to be Jedi force sensitive.
The saying is, I have a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yes.
he's always had that Jedi
Sensibility.
youngling sensibility, but because he never got taught how to fully use it, that's why his and Leia's son, because once Leia realized who she was, and Luke could teach her how to use her force abilities,
Yep.
that's why their son was so much stronger than everybody else in the family, almost stronger than Luke.
Yes.
And that's why he got drawn to the dark side, because why am I being taught by somebody who's the same strength as me? Which goes back into the Anakin thing. Why am I letting all these fuckers who are as strong or weaker than me teach me?
Well, a bit of that was Arius too.
But see, but I mean, that's part of the Anakin. That's part of the Skywalker bloodline. Why are you teaching me, bitch? I am naturally talented at this shit. I know more than you just by sitting on my ass and meditating for 5 minutes, you pussy.
Well, it's funny.
I mean, do you get that? Cause
yes. No, I get it. I get it.
I hope I'm not overanalyzing it for anybody.
Side note, when, so, kids' papa got picture frames for their school awards, right? This is why I bring this
Words?
Yeah, they awards that you get
awards,
at
okay.
or school or whatever.
I was just one of
So
my
they
chambers,
have-
right?
So each one, our main cast, got an award for their class. And so their papa went ahead and got picture frames for the award, so they could put on
Yeah,
the
you
wall.
get it for like 50 cents at
Right.
DI.
$1.50 is what price tag said. But I was sitting there.
Depends on what day you go, but yeah.
So we're sitting there now putting the awards inside the picture frames. And it was so funny because Amber's sitting on the couch, Tyson's sitting next to him, or next to her, and Brad. Papa is on the other side, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, I think it was Cass or Arian asked me something to do with the picture frame, and then Russell asked me about something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I said, oh wait, no. He said, why are you a ventriloquist for Amber? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you're making her talk. And I'm like, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities. Many consider me unnatural. Tyson and Amber were both giggling like bad people.
Like lunatics, of
Yeah,
course.
and Russell's like, huh? And then Tyson's like,
Because his brain doesn't instantly
Yeah.
go to that.
Tyson was like,
I mean, he knows the
get it.
movies.
Yeah.
No, he knows the original movies, but that's not where his brain goes.
Yeah.
Because I don't think he really, like, watched the original or the prequels with me.
Mary thought it was hilarious.
Well, because Mary watched everything I watched. Hey,
Yeah.
I want to watch the prequels. Okay, when we put them in.
Yes.
Me and Ma did so much stuff with just, I want to watch a movie, or hey, let's watch this movie, or ooh, Nanny, what movies do you want for Christmas? I want this one, this one, and this one. I'd get them. All right, let's watch them.
Yep.
That was my thing.
Yes.
I was a movie nerd. I sat down, I watched my movies. I could probably run through a few not Star Wars, brain, few old school Disney cartoon movies that people don't even freaking remember nowadays. So I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I was a movie bum. I'll admit that fully.
I just thought it was funny how it came out of my mouth without me thinking. I was like getting all the, because like you had like all the problems in the back of the picture frame was one of those.
Yeah.
And like you had to like take the metal piece and pull
Bend
it
it up to pull out the
So I
little
was
cardboard
really
piece to put in
hyper-focused
the
on it.
picture to
And I
put
was
the cardboard back in and bend it down.
And he asked me, he's all like, he asked me the question, he's all like, why are you making him talk, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like going, I was like, make her talk. And he's like, well, yeah, why, blah, blah, blah. And I was like going, the dark side. And I was just rattling it off. It just came out of my mouth. And he's
It's like not even a second thought, just making
Yeah.
a funny, smart ass
and then-
comment.
And everybody just started laughing.
And he's sitting there looking like an idiot, like an idiot deer in the headlights. What the fuck just happened?
Right.
Why is everybody laughing?
Yeah.
What joke did I miss?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's because his brain doesn't move where the rest of our brains do. Because when you make a movie, pun or reference like that, and us who know what you're saying,
Yeah.
instantly, and he's like, huh? It's from this movie. Okay. And then he'll just leave it there because he doesn't think about it like that.
So naturally, he brings up another movie, and he makes reference to that, and then Tyson happens to know what he's talking about. So
Which
then
movie?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was funny. It was funny.
Major
song.
Pain or
Something to do with that.
military?
I think so.
You're not sure? Okay, I'll have to ask Amber or somebody.
Probably. But like, I haven't had much sleep, so my brain is not recalling much. But like basically, I was sitting there and I was listening to him say that, and it was so funny. It was like, then out of nowhere, my brain just mouth, insert foot. I was like, oh, she had to mention a movie, see the same face. Russ was like, huh, what? And Tyson just thought it was funny how I was, constantly firing off comments.
Well, I mean, you both are, and I think this is because of me, but y'all both have similar, you're going to make that comment. Here's my movie trivia comment. Here you go. Let's see if you know what that one is.
Well, what's funny is I end up saying things now, here and there, where I'll be sitting there and I'll say something or whatever, and then out of nowhere, like, Mary or Amber will be like, oh, I know where I heard that from first. I'm like, who? And then they're like, who do you think? And I'm like, oh yeah, Karnage. It was just popping in my mouth. I was just like, what? It was pretty funny.
I am the brainwasher.
Brainwasher or influencer. I mean, we're on YouTube right now. We're influencing.
I'm everywhere. What are you talking about? Where's Karnage? Where's Karnage? Right here. Watching the show of all of y'all do your shit. And just sit back going, I'm going to watch the show. I mean, you've heard me tell stories where it's like, yeah, well, did you realize this happened? It's like, wait, when did that happen? Like this? It's like, oh yeah, I remember. Because you don't always remember certain things that I remember, and I don't remember some things you remember, but it's like, we'll bounce back and forth with just goofy facts. Remember from shit that's happened in the last few years between the friend groups or your Twitter groups.
Last couple of months, it's been hard to recall some things because, like, I've just been so neck deep in
work and
work, kids, chaos, everything.
Work and life.
Yep. Like, I'm in my 30s now, so I'm going to progressively lose the memory of my muscle memory.
No, you'll just slightly whitewash the whole next 10 years, and then you'll remember everything, and then when somebody says something, you'll bring up some random fact that they didn't know you remembered, and shit, he remembers. Where the fuck did you get that memory back? Last week.
I was talking about it on the Discord servers, and a couple of people in there were like, that's called burnout, my friend.
That's called 30s as far as I'm just, because it happened to me in my 30s. I got partway through my 30s, and then some memories just went, not important information, just screw it, don't remember it. There's no point.
Irrelevant, brain goes irrelevant, filed in the back burner, your front of your brain going, what the fuck, where'd it go?
Not even what the fuck, where'd it go? It's like, I have a memory of that being said, but I don't remember you saying it and you weren't talking to me, so you saying you said that to me is complete bullshit. Alright, I'm going back to what I'm doing, bye.
Well, lately also, sometimes I feel like I'm a cat now, like with my memory, because like, I'll remember I was angry about something, but I don't remember why.
I've recently had an episode, I think it was last Sunday, where I got hangry, I got hungry, angry,
yeah.
And it's just rage, and then I ate, I'm like, oh, cool, calm, collected. Oh, I was hangry. Okay.
Like, for instance, Russell's always assuming that, like, because he assumes that because he himself holds on to bullshit all the time, that everyone else must.
It's not him holding on to stuff. It's y'all talking shit, no? Because we don't fucking care.
That's what it feels like.
But I mean,
it's like he assumes that everyone's going to do the same thing, and I'm one of those people that doesn't.
Oh, I talk shit about everybody all the time. I don't even care. Dude, I've talked shit about you to your face. You know I don't give a fuck. That pisses me off. Okay, keep moving.
Well, like, we discuss things and work shit out all the time and stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean, you tell me funny stuff that I piss off Amber, and it's like, oh, you sent her this thing the other day, and she went rage. I wonder if she went rage over that thing I sent her today.
Oh, shit. You sent me like 10 things today, and I haven't had time because I was watching.
No, not you. I sent something specifically to Amber. It was a podcast.
Oh fuck. Was it Tate?
No, I don't think. I'd have to look at it. No, but it was one of these little like factoid things that, she's the one always. I remember what it was. It was a little snippet from Just Pearly Things that like, yeah, but y'all take the like, it was Just Pearly Things or another thing. No, it was another thing. It was the Daily Wire thing. The guy who's in charge of that. Like, y'all always bring up like the minuscule. Rape and incest is a number that's this big, but y'all act like it's this big, and bring it up like us talking about abortion only means talking about rape or incest victims.
It's funny as can be.
But yet, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is you shouldn't be able to just go off and just kill a baby.
Yeah.
The few and far between, rape sort of things, that's different. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people who go around, and especially females, because females are the ones getting the abortions, who fuck around, find out, and shit, I don't want to be with this man, just abort it. And he's like, well, what used to happen is you got knocked up, you married the guy, whether it was a jackass or not, because it's his job to take care of the kid and you now, because you became his wife. And don't come at me saying that the baby's not a human, because that's y'all's bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
Because it's not a valid human. And he went over stuff like, oh, so somebody's in a coma, so you're allowed to stab them or pull the plug and just kill them, right? Even though they might, or you have a guarantee in 9 months they'll wake up from the coma. And somebody brought up, well, will they have all their memories? Well, let's say they don't. Well, then hell, just pull the plug, because it doesn't matter. Sort of thing. It's like, and that's why you say, let us kill the babies that we had because we had unprotected sex, and, we're stupid.
Yes.
And
I'm tweeting about the podcast.
Go for it.
I haven't done that yet.
I don't either. I usually tweet about it later. Yeah, we did a podcast tonight. Here's the link.
Yes.
No, because the funny part is, if I Twitter some of the stuff I watch for the channels, if they're like, hey, I didn't get any views on this. Okay, take that video, share it to Twitter. Let's see what happens in the next week or two.
Yeah.
Because usually when I do that, what happens is the videos they said they're not going to put out because it doesn't get enough views, automatically gets more views. Because apparently I have enough people following the Karnage 6778 Twitter that have listened to us on this craziness or watched the videos that are like, oh, well, let's see what this video is about. Let's see what Karnage is watching. That apparently gets enough videos. Apparently I'm really helpful to the I think I am to the Corporal's Corner YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I like his I love his channel. He does a video every Sunday and some time in the middle of the week usually. Not always, but sometimes he throws out a little informational, hey, this is what you could do sort of thing. Little just teaching how to do certain things. Like bake food or do other camp tricks or stuff you should know, little skills.
Yeah. And
I like those sort of videos. Those are fun as hell. Because he made a comment about one not getting enough views, I threw it out there.
Well, let's hope it does get more views.
Apparently it did, because he popped out another one this week, which was a not a short, but it was a informational video. So I'm like, oh, so me doing my Twitter thing did help. Okay, so I gotta throw this one on the Twitter and then I'll watch it later. I didn't get to it till 2 days later, but I still watched it.
I'm looking to see if anyone pops in the comments.
I doubt it, but we still love you all.
Yeah.
I love the crazy fans who always ask about my lunacy. The ones on Twitter and off Twitter.
Yes.
Where's Karnage? We love Karnage. What happened to him? Because you were telling me that for what, like 3 to 6 months?
Yeah.
About
like,
people
there was
like,
a lot of people
where the hell did he go from Greasy Peas? What happened?
There was a lot of people on Twitter that were asking about it and like asking about where you went, that sort of thing. And then one person was like, and I was like, going, wait, somebody actually watches the show? They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, every time I'm at wherever live, there's usually either there's one viewer or there's 2 viewers or maybe 0 viewers. And they're like, that doesn't mean we can't watch the replays.
Well, I think we get more views on the after
Yeah.
live broadcasting, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me, it's just fun. I just like this. Dinosaurs, Jurassic World. Let's talk about dragons.
Yes.
Because technically, as far as I'm concerned, they're dinosaurs.
Yes.
It's like, why do you bring that sort of shit up? Because it's in the same subject as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry. I want a dinosaur movie like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, where they go to hatch the egg, like in the original Jurassic Park, and they find out it's actually a dragon. That wasn't a fictional character. We actually found DNA in a freaking,
Yes.
mosquito that it's actually a dragon. This isn't all bullshit. They weren't all myths. That shit's real. Because for me, it's like, hee.
But there was a time where, dragons, or at least a version of the dragon, did exist back then. And it was the same time period or similar time period as like the woolly mammoth and like a lot of the creatures from the Ice Age and from from like thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
So like you have.
Well, you have the saber-toothed tiger, the woolly mammoth, and what was it? It was a Joe Rogan episode. They were talking about possibly having they have a place in a colder region where they're thinking about basically doing the whole Jurassic Park, Jurassic World thing.
Yes.
They're gonna bring back the woolly mammoth, closest elephant of nowadays that has similar DNA, so that way they can put in through all the bones and genetics they can get from the woolly mammoth bones and whatnot that are like frozen.
Yep.
From like the marrow and stuff, where the little bit of genetic code that's missing, they can just, hey, look, we have a woolly mammoth DNA. All right, put it in the embryo. Let's grow a woolly mammoth,
Yes.
sort of thing. And they have a zoo where they're going to do it. They're already working on it, and they're gonna try to bring back woolly and like saber-toothed tigers, because with them, because everybody's bitching about global warming, they'll actually lower the natural temperature of the earth because of the way they work with the certain natural plants in a certain region, where it'll actually increase the growth of that plant, which will cool down the region back to where it's optimally cooled in that region, which will make the rest of the world cool down a little bit where it's too hot.
Yeah.
And make it more stable. But also something like Jordan Peterson says, and I've heard a few other people say, but I heard it more from Jordan Peterson, why is everybody still on this, like, it was global warming, now it's climate issue, because it's super hot in the summers, super freezing in the winters, which means it's not global warming, it's global extremities with the temperatures. But the thing is, because CO2 used to be the thing that was bitched about,
Yep.
which would destroy the world and end the world, because how much is in the environment, because us driving around and doing all the stuff we do, the Earth's actually greener than it's been in hundreds of thousands of years, possibly.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but we're helping the plants because they suck up all the extra. We're putting out more CO2, and that's what they eat and spit out more O2, so we're actually upping the oxygen and the CO2, carbon monoxide, in the environment. So, I mean carbon dioxide, but Is it whatever words? But I mean, it's that stuff that actually makes the plants grow greener, grow bigger, and they grow bigger. Then, in my brain, when I saw the lotus, I'm like, oh, so all the dinosaurs are back. So natural evolution came back. So now the lotus are huge. Was my first thought when they showed that. I'm like, oh, we're having reverse evolution because lotus are reverting back to what they used to be. We have to be giant because now there's these giant monsters back on the earth.
Yeah.
They reverted. Was my first thought. And then we're like, no, we made them. Aw, that takes away all the fun from my scientific brain. It's like, oh, it's just a plot point. Oh, fine. Let's watch, see what happens. And then I like the rest. when that was like, no, it's a plot point. Oh, you fuckers. My brain hit a better one. Fuck off. Well, I mean, because with any movie or anything, I go straight to science. Yeah. Alright, is this happening because of this, and this? And because they brought in the original female actress, the doctor that was with the other guy. And my brain went to, oh, so is she going to prove that because the dinosaurs escaped and we're letting them still live on our planet, this is what's going to happen? We're going to get giant crickets, we're going to get giant roaches, we're going to get giant spiders, we're going to get all this giant stuff that comes back that wasn't around since the dinosaurs supposedly lived a million years ago, even though I don't think it was that far back. But, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like, brain. Hang on one sec. I gotta look up the book.
Was it People the Wolf? Because that sounds like, I mean...
Oh, no. It's... Okay, pull up Graham Hancock. He talks about how, like, the scientists, like, the Egyptian, I mean, not scientists, well, they are kind of scientists, but not really, archaeologists, talk about how, well, this is what happened at this time. Okay, where's your proof? Because somebody stamped the rock at this point. That doesn't mean the whole structure was built at that point. Like, the whole, hang on one sec. Ugh! My balls are being squished. I need new testicles.
Balls too.
Or like 4, but anywho. No, but about like how
Balls
they didn't have the technology to build the pyramids when they said they were built, or when they proclaimed they were built, because it has a stamp from the pharaoh that was in charge at that time. But yet, it's stuff like that. Like, no, that was already there. They just put their stamp on it.
Yeah.
Like how the Sphinx was a lion, or I just heard this one recently, which I think is stupid. No, the head was a dog. No, the head was a lion. They cut the head. They re-chiseled it, the Egyptians, to look like Joseph, because it talks about it in the Bible that they put his face on everything, because the Pharaoh said he is equivalent to me. If he says it, it's the same as me saying, you stupid fucks. So his face got put on everything, which represents that Pharaoh's reign.
Yeah.
So, since he's the equivalent of being a Pharaoh without actually being a Pharaoh, that's where I think the whole thing gets lost, with them trying to look it up in like the records for the Egyptian pharaohs in the timeline, which pharaoh it was and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah, well, this pharaoh, or when they the record supposedly says it's supposed to be around this time and this and this, and but yet there's no record of it. Oh, I'm sorry, would you record that the pharaoh went across the Red Sea when it's literally opened in the middle of it for no damn reason, because somebody had magic. His name was Moses, and when he went in, Moses said, "Achoo!" and the whole damn thing flooded him and all of his guys. I mean, would you keep that in your history, or would you take that out? Because the ones who win, the winners, are the ones who usually tell the story. Isn't that the thing? history is written by the winners.
Yes.
So if they didn't win, they wouldn't put that in their history books. Oh, we don't need to talk about this guy. But also, this also comes into my thing because you have the Pharaoh who his father believed in, the Egyptian higher Godhead,
Yes.
Ra and all that stuff. But the next one down believed or tried to make it so that way all Egypt believed in one God.
Yep.
It's like, okay, y'all know the Pharaoh's name, but what if he's not the guy who actually tried to get everybody to believe in one God? What if that is Joseph from the Bible, and because he helped them stay away from the famine that happened where plants didn't grow, and he told the Pharaoh that's what his dream meant, and the Pharaoh said, you're equivalent to me, you're like Pharaoh. So everything Joseph did, they marked as that Pharaoh doing. So that Pharaoh wasn't trying to get everybody under one God. It was Joseph from the 12 tribes, because I think it was his brothers became the 12 tribes of Israel because his name became Israel or something. Or his dad's name became Israel. He was known as Jacob, but God changed his name to Israel, and he had 12 sons. That sort of thing. So it was him, Joseph, the son, who, Joseph, the son, the coat of many colors thing, that he was actually the Pharaoh that got Egypt under one God. Until he died, then what did they do? Revert it back to the whole Egyptian godhead with Ra being the main god and everybody underneath him. And that's when the 12 tribes of Israel descendants became the slaves.
Yeah.
And then you go to Moses. Well, I mean, it's a. This is where my brain goes from me knowing, the religious point of view, and then going into it from a scientific point of view, from what I've always heard about Egyptian history, and where I keep track of stuff, where I just remember weird facts, and most of it's to do with history and how scientifically they couldn't do that. Like, they always talk about, well, how did they build such marvelous and perfect pyramids, and then every pyramid after that is like half-assed or shit screwy and like way smaller bricks than that one, which proves that one was built way back when something happened, like the flood, Noah, basically comets coming down, melting all the ice caps.
Yeah.
And the whole, it rained. Yeah, it rained also because, and this is my thought, the Garden of Eden is actually Antarctica. And when God took Adam and Eve out of Antarctica, that's when the North and South Pole shifted. Or, what is it? Like, the crust is the outside of the ball.
Yes.
And it just shifted. The whole world, I can't remember the name of it. But it moves on the outside of the magma.
Yeah.
And that's what moved the poles also. Because it was a shift like that. Not just... Well, no, you have the plate tectonics that move, right?
Yes.
That they've proven. But the thing is, it's a world outer shell, the crust, the whole crust, shifts. Because the magnetic north and south move, and before it, when it jackrabbits itself back, or possibly because of the way our world spins opposite of what every other world we've seen in our universe spins, because it's spinning the opposite way. When it shifts, but everything's still going like this, when it shifts, everything still goes, so that's where you get all the floods, all the earthquakes, the mayhem, because it's a quick shift so fast, and it runs for a few years, and then it's done. Or possibly even only a few months, and then done.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, with Noah, They got on the boat. It was, and this is something that has recently come to my attention. If they say like 40 years, they were roaming in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years doesn't mean actually 40 years. 40 years just means they did it for a long time.
Yes.
It's usually 2 generations, and that's actually 50 years to 60 years. So 40 just means long time. So if 40 means long time, it rained, they got a massive flood, because everything shifted, and possibly meteors coming and hitting the frozen ice caps or glaciers, melting it all, and that like changed the whole world. Because when that hit, when everything melted, I think it melted so it shifted because it adjusted the weight of the world.
Yeah.
And that's why we have the world the way we have it nowadays. That's why the equator is where it is, because that's all, it's warm all the time, so everything grows lusciously. That's the tropics and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the way I've heard with a lot of the people looking at Antarctica, with the way the rivers look like they run like they always do with Mars and stuff, looking at it of what it used to be, it basically, my brain goes, okay, so that's the Garden of Eden. When it was not here, when it was in tropical zone, where everything would be perfect for everything to grow and all the animals to live, and there'd be so many plants and whatnot, you have to worry about nothing because it's literally a perfect world.
Yeah.
And God said, oh, you fucked up. I'll fix it. Alright, now you gotta live with all the hard lands and mountains and everything everywhere. Have fun!
Yeah. Yeah, I remember reading about that in the Bible, actually, with like the Ark of Noah, and like all the different like species they were trying to save. It's like two
of every animal. Well, if you actually take the measurement, it's supposed to be a cubic is here to here, basically a yard, from basically middle finger to bottom of elbow.
Yeah.
That's literally a yard stick, approximately, give or take.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the average. But if that's a cubic, then you got to do that this way, and this way. So it's cube, and it was, I don't even remember how many cubics this way and how many, because it talks about it in the Bible. It gives you the exact measurements.
Yeah.
Of what it would be. But you also got to think about it like this. People back then were also bigger than we are now. So a cubic was larger than a yard is nowadays.
Do you really think that it was bigger?
I think people were of larger size at the beginning of the world because there was nothing to go against us. We were made to be top priority. And then when Eve fucked up and Adam said, well, I love you, so I'm going to do what you did so that way we can be together forever, what happened, you look like you're high as fuck. Your eyes are super bloodshot.
Yeah, not high, just tired as fuck.
I can tell. So we'll quit here shortly. But, I mean, it's the whole thing of
I was like trying
they
to
get
estimate.
put into a world that is hard and harsh and all the plants aren't nice and neat.
Yeah.
It was nice and neat because it was on an island.
Yeah.
And here's where my brain goes, because they talk about the river, this name, and this name, which connected, and then the river becomes this name. Okay, but if you look at it, it was an island or Antarctica. It's the two rivers coming down off the mountain that meet and come down in the middle of the island. But because they got moved from where they were to where Israel and Jerusalem is now, where the 12 tribes got moved to, before they went to Egypt, with Jacob being Israel and his son Joseph dragging them all there, so that way they would be saved when the when they couldn't grow crops and whatnot. I can't think of the word in my brain.
Egyptian times, is that what you're talking about?
Well, when Joseph dragged all of his family to Egypt.
Okay.
Because there was a famine going on. Nobody could grow lands. It was a drought. That's what it is, drought, because there was less rain that year. or for a
said
few
the
years.
thing my brain was failing to recall.
Well, your brain was failing, and my brain got the signal. Aha, that worked. But it was the drought and a famine because they couldn't grow crops. But because he had told the Pharaoh that's what the dream was, they'd moved from where they were, which is Israel, Jerusalem, over to Egypt. Bred a whole bunch, 5 or 6 I think it was 2 or 3, maybe 5 generations after Joseph. And then Moses came about, and then they moved back to their homeland.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's okay, I'm moving you from here, because if you God, unlimited power, you pick up the people, you rotate the whole world. Because if Adam and Eve are still there, because that means he takes them out. Then they have Cain and Abel, which are on the other side of the world. And if there are already entities or beings living there, like, brain, what's the one that they say that was the dumber, or everybody thinks is dumber, but now that they've looked at it, they actually think it's smarter, more gorilla man.
You mean
Because the eyebrows come up. Yes, Neanderthal. That's who Cain and Abel, after he killed his brother and got basically excommunicated from the family.
Yeah.
And he took his wife with him, which is technically his sister, because they're all family fuckers back then. Because there's only a small group that's we're allowed to. But he went out, and that's where you get the. I lost the word again. Begins with an N. You said it.
Neanderthal.
Thank you. Neanderthal. They bred with them, and that's where all of the other races and breeds come in of the human race.
Yeah.
It's just the purest form was before they added in the 12 tribes of Israel brought in other people from other regions and lands and brought them into their families, even though that was against the rules.
Yeah.
It talks about it in the Bible, but yet they did it anyways. Well, I'm not screwing my cousin, you, incest, that's where people go. Instantly. Incest, ew. Well, if God tells you, you only have this small group to screw with,
Yep.
but yet there's 5 different families in the group, you just go grab somebody from another family and keep going around until it's so mixed and different that it's everything. But were bored with just having their own, so they went outside and brought in other people, which are basically Cain's descendants, bred with Neanderthals. So technically we're all come from Adam and Eve, because you go back far enough back, it all goes back to Cain, which then goes to Adam and Eve, or it all goes back to their child they had after Cain, the other boy, because I think they had 1 or 2 more they talk about in the Bible, which is part of the Jewish and Israel, clans and whatnot.
Yeah.
Because the Judaic is one of the 12 tribes of Israel, the Jews are. And they're the ones that didn't get lost or destroyed or have other people from other races coming in and interbreeding with them, so they were the most pure when Jesus came.
Yeah.
So that goes into that whole dynamic. But from my viewpoint, it's like, okay, well, if that's the case, then does that mean when we were still in the Garden of Eden, because one day to God is 1,000 years on earth, and because nobody lived above 1,000, God kept to his original proclamation to Adam that you will die within a day.
Yeah.
Not an earth day, a day to God. Because they talk about it in other religions too, how a day to God is 1,000 years on earth. So he lives in a different universe where a day is 1,000 years. But if that's the case, then we're moving faster than he is. And if you go by that, when he first started the world, wouldn't it be moving faster then? Because right when you first spin a ball or a top, it goes super fast and then it slows down before it stops.
Yeah.
So it was 1,000,000 years ago. Actually, that's only like half a million years ago when the dinosaurs were here, when all this shit happened that you say takes a million years, actually doesn't, because at the beginning everything was moving so fast and the day was so much faster and the year was less days. But by the time anybody started actually counting days, claiming months, and then we start marking how long a supposed year is,
Yeah.
everything slows down. Because, I mean, look at it now. Even our days now are slowing down.
Yes.
Our years are becoming longer.
It certainly feels like that. Holy shit.
But no. I mean, from a scientific point of view, if you look at it from the numbers, because I look at it from, like, Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about it, and a few other guys talk about it, how a day is not actually 24 hours. It's 24 hours and some odd minutes. And it keeps expanding and getting longer.
Yeah.
And a year is not 365 days. It's 365 days and a fourth of a day. But it's not always a fourth of a day. Sometimes it's a little bit more by a couple hours. Sometimes it's like 30 minutes less. You know, it changes per year.
Yeah, friends.
Yeah. But I mean, it seems to be getting also longer. Everything seems to be stretching out. I mean, you notice it also, everything seems to last longer when you get older because you have so many years and days and hours under your belt. An hour doesn't seem like an hour.
Yeah, it feels
A
lot.
week seems short because you've lived so many weeks.
Yeah.
It's less time. Because you've lived 30 years, you have 30 weeks. 30 years of weeks in you. So, that's why it seems shorter than when you were only 10 years old, because you only had 10 years of weeks in you. So it was less time because you were less of age.
Yeah.
So that's why time seems to drag ass when you get older. It doesn't drag ass when you get older. You just have so much time under your belt, it seems to last longer. But the world slows down and the North and South keep tipping more until one of these days it's going to jackrabbit and the whole world's going to shift and pivot and oh my god, it's a week to a month worth of hellfire, brimstone, hurricanes, tornadoes, rains, floods, and a whole bunch of other weird shit. Everybody's like, ah!
Yep.
But the world's still going to be spinning like this, still going like this. Even though all the other worlds spin like this.
Yeah.
I mean, they still go like this, but they spin like this. Where we spin like this. This is stuff that, like, I wasn't even looking for it. I was just going into, scientific, like, shorts or just scientific videos to, like, expand my brain, make sure nothing's changed since I'm 40 now on how we calculate or if time's changed on how long a year is, how long a day actually is, how long an actual month, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And just like, oh no, this, and this has changed here, this is what we finally figured out, or we think it's this, even though the mainstream says you're full of shit because we don't like it, it's new.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's every science or historian or anything. No, that can't be true. You have no proof. Well, you have no proof of yours either. Shut up. And that's how they get. Because somebody up top, probably in the government or the higher ups that are above the government, the super, super rich who own the entire earth, supposedly, who worship Satan, say that, shh, don't tell them the truth. They don't need to know. Because, I mean, if you go like that nobody needs to know the truth, then what if it was this isn't the first time the world shifted. This is like the millionth time or whatever it's done because we're just on repeat because, the whole fact everything repeats.
Yeah.
So when it repeats and Antarctica is now at the equator, what does that mean for the places that are where they are? Where the shift is? That means everything, all the ice, where it is, melts, and then when you start to regather and make new glaciers in new areas, which is click, Jesus comes back, end of the world, everybody goes to heaven or hell. Hey, look, we took everybody off the planet. All right, start. New Adam and Eve. Let's do this again.
Yep.
That's where my brain goes.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting, like, you're talking about how God, like, when it comes to, being like him, that 1,000 years is like a day. Because that means that, like, the 7 days or something that's documented in there would have been 7,000 years.
That's what I'm saying. So if you think about it like that,
Yeah.
just 7,000 years from an all-impotent spot. There's already stuff here. He put it into an Earth. Or the Earth was already here, and it was like it is now, or like, Antarctica being at the equator line to be in the perfect. He's like, oh, yeah, we just cleared out that world. All right, we're going to restart. I just reorganize it, take off all the animals that are everywhere else, put them in this one spot because it's beautiful and can contain all the life. We're only going to have 2 humans, so let's see if these follow the rules or do what the last ones did, because they all do the same thing. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Because, if this is the start of the world, this is where everybody learns how to become God, because you get to do your Adam and Eve here.
Yeah.
How many times has this happened? How many Jehovah, Jesus, sons of God have done this?
Probably a lot.
And how many have had to come back after living a life, but yet they don't get the veil cover because they've already had the veil cover, and since God came back and restored it back to 0, what if it's not 1,000,000 years this planet's been here doing this thing with the dinosaurs? What if the dinosaurs was the last generation of humanoid or entities that were here, and they evolved or reverted or whatever happened? What if that's the next evolutionary step? It's not going backwards where we get smaller. The next step is everything starting to get bigger, and then in 100 years to 1,000 years, we will have dinosaurs on this planet, and we'll be completely fucked. Because that's what used to be here. Yeah, it's just part of everything. It constant repeat. Because when they find dragon DNA, they're gonna be like, "Ooh, we found dragons! We're gonna make them real. Hope they don't fuck us over. We're gonna try to put them in a cage, like you did with T-Rex in Jurassic Park." Yeah, let's see how well this goes, you stupid fucks. We've already seen it be fucked up in the movies because humans are lazy and stupid. Yeah, I'm gonna have fun watching this fucking clusterfuck. This is gonna be another 50-year show. Sit back and watch. This is gonna be fun. I'm just waiting for it, dude. In the next 20 years, I'm expecting that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna hit 60, like as young as Russell and Redder do it in their 60s. And be like, "You young idiots. Oh, I'm gonna watch this bitch burn down." Watch your ass, my kids. Why? Somebody's about to do something stupid. I'm gonna have fun watching everything burn down. Don't need to watch your asses. Why? Because you're still young, you don't need to burn yet. I'm gonna watch the show though. Have fun!
Yes.
Because that's where my brain always goes. Oh, somebody's doing something stupid! And I know it's stupid. Let's watch.
Yeah, so we're gonna revisit the National Treasure next week.
Because you're passing out.
Because, I don't know if you noticed though, when we went on tangent, but I'm like slipping in and out.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm just keep talking.
There's
Like,
like
I told him half an hour, so I was just gonna keep rambling. Either you passed out and started snoring, or I have to smack. It's time to end. Say the closing line.
But like, yeah, no, I'm fading right now. Like, I'm gonna probably get myself some food and then pass the fuck out.
Dude, I just go pass out. You in the middle of eating, you're gonna end up choking and killing yourself. Fucker! And if Amber doesn't hear you or save your ass while you're downstairs, you're gonna die in Russell's chair. How shitty would that be? Ring, yellow. Thomas died last night. I won that motherfucker. Amber be like, what? Look on the podcast, you'll see. So just go to bed. Don't try to do anything stupid, okay?
So we'll talk about National Treasure next week.
And maybe you'll finish it.
And we'll talk about this other topic again next week. But this is TPAW.
Karnage 6778.
And have a week.
Take it easy. Don't kill yourselves.